What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Dadlife. I'm still here, it's no magic. In this episode, we are going to do not one, not two, but 5 things that I dislike. I'm not going to say hate, but that I dislike about my C5 Corvette. Enjoy the video. Okay, guys, thank you again, as always, for tuning in and watching another episode of Dadlife. It has been a couple weeks, if not maybe even longer, since the last upload. So in this video, I just want to do something quick, easy, and to the point, but the 5 things that I won't say hate, because that is a strong word, and I don't actually hate it, but very strongly dislike about the C5 Corvette. So for those that don't know, I'm sure most do know by now, the C5 Corvette was built, and its first year production was 1997, and it ran all the way up to 2004 with that. It has 3 basic models, of course: convertible with the soft top, the target top like I had with the removable roof in the center of the car, and of course the Z06 model, which was built from 2001 to 2004, and that would be also known as a fixed roof coupe because the roof is fixed, therefore you cannot remove the roof. Although there are some aftermarket companies that make a removable hardtop option that you can put on a convertible and make it like a convertible fixed roof, but that's neither here nor there. So 5 things. Let's start off. Let's start off with the #1 biggest complaint I personally have about the C5 Corvette. The driver information center, aka the electronics of the vehicle. Mine is a 1999, kids are playing, mine is a 1999 model year. So good and bad. So down by a little horsepower compared from 1 year newer, a 2000 model year, but also a little better in the electronics than the 97, 98 models. Overall, though, there are a lot of electronic gremlins, as they say, in the C5 Corvette model years. From seat bladders going out, the radios going out, or like me, in my case, the driver information center, where it'll just freeze and keep strobing. The body control module, which is huge, the ABS module, like there's so many things as there's a strobe party going on. Sorry. This ad, see? Magic. But again, so if you are in the market for a used, obviously it would be a used C5 Corvette at this point, just see if some of the electronics are working. #4. Now, of course, this is kind of like not just C5 specific, but it does pertain to me and my C5. So it's with the age of the car, the creaks of the car. And I don't mean the suspension creaks, I mean the interior creaks. Everything, because it's so, everything is just American GM from the late 90s, so it's basically all plastic. Faux leather, plastic, plastic, plastic. It's a sea of black. I love a black interior, but the thing is, back then there was no soft touch leather, at least not in that model year for the Corvette, because even back then, whether a Corvette retailed for about maybe $50K, give or take, in that market, it was still meant to be, believe it or not, the performance sports car. Usability, meaning with the trunk you still have technically a ton of space, and technically gas mileage with the LS motor, you can still get over 25 miles per gallon. And my car is cammed and puts down 380 to the wheels, so crank, 420, 440, whatever it would be to the crank, and technically if I drive on the highway I could still get 25 plus miles to the gallon just driving like a grandpa, which is insane because it does have good usable horsepower. But again, the creaks, the interior creaks, the visors creak, the windows creak, like you just hear a lot of creaks. So that's #4. #3, the 3rd thing that I strongly dislike, although it is very funny and makes for some good humor, is when you are driving your C5 Corvette, whether it was stock cam or of course modified somewhere in the middle, everybody thinks you're trying to race them, even if you're just driving to Home Depot or Michael's. Only if there's time.
I appreciate it, but I told my wife I wouldn't drink tonight. Besides, I got a big day tomorrow. But you guys have a great time.
A big day? Doing what?
Well, actually, pretty nice little Saturday. We're gonna go to Home Depot. Yeah, buy some wallpaper, maybe get some flooring, stuff like that. Maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I don't know. I don't know if we'll have enough time.
But for real, you could be driving 20 miles per hour, and like a 70-year-old person will come flying up on your bumper, and you see them kind of doing this in the mirror, and you're just like, dude, I'm literally just driving. It's finally the day of the week I get to drive my car. I might have already had some fun on the back roads, but now I'm just kind of cruising, and people still think you're trying to race them. So, take it for what it is. It is fun, but it's also sometimes you're like, bro, ease up. I'm literally just driving to the store. So that's the #3 thing. they will all think you are Vin Diesel, even if you're driving a 20-some-year-old car. You know. The number 2 thing that I strongly cannot stand for the life of me in the C5 Corvette is back, as you can see, a pattern here in the interior of the car, and that's the seats. So my option has what they call the sport model seats compared to the Z06. The Z06 seats, the headrest is all solid, whereas mine technically have a little pass-through for racing harnesses, like that type of look. They're not bad. You know, the bolsters on the sides, they'll kind of hold you in, but the gripe comes from, as people with a Corvette or researching a Corvette will find out, it's called the rocking seat. So technically, over time, the guides on the rails of the seats basically wear down, because again, cheap GM plastics from back in the day, and what ends up happening is when you go to brake or accelerate, your seat, kids, basically like the kids are doing in the background, you're driving and you're like this, you're rocking. So you apply the brakes, you'll rock forward like that. You kind of give it some juice like Vin Diesel, and you're rocking backwards. Now you think that's fun, like VTEC hit in, bam, just... But it's obnoxious and annoying. And the fact that legitimately an auto manufacturers such as GM in the 90s, so it's not like we're talking 60s, right, where they're just like, hey, just give it power and have the car gut it, could come up with a design that would wear out like that with something as important as your seats. And yes, it's a cheap fix, something on my list to do, but the thing is, nobody wants to be on a rocking chair when they're riding. So that's number 2, the rocking seats. Easy to fix, annoying to have to fix it. The children. The number 1 thing that I cannot for the life of me stand with the C5 Corvette, and technically I guarantee this will encompass all your Corvettes, except for C4. Just kidding. I love you guys with the C4s. It's not bad, but make it a C401 at least. You know what I mean? Just saying. The number 1 thing that people with a C5 Corvette cannot stand is what they call the Corvette Tax. So if you're not able, whether it's skill, tools, time, you know, mixture of all of it like we all have, to do your own oil changes, to do your own maintenance on the car, you know, you'll go in for something like, say, on my Honda Civic, that might just be, you know, a $50 oil change, and that's with basically them doing the oil change for you, the oil, the materials, the shop labor. It's like you can go in for an oil change on your Vette, and you're always going to pay a little more. If you need brakes on the Vette, again, you'll price out the brakes as XYZ, and then you figure everything's almost doubled because of the Corvette tax. If you do shopping online, you now have to do even more smarter research, because there are plenty of websites that have been known over the years to basically even overcharge over the Corvette tax. So you really have to get like a system of, you know, friends, whether it's Corvette clubs, Facebook Corvette groups, or just people in the know that can tell you and recommend, hey, do not shop at this website, or hey, go to this vendor, because they don't upcharge you too much on the Corvette tax. Corvette tax is a real thing. They overcharge. It's like the brake pads are the same brake pads, whether it's a Toyota or a C5 Corvette. Yeah, they're a little better, but if they're a Hawk brake pad, they're still a Hawk brake pad. So you don't need to upcharge 200% on a product that costs the same. Just my opinion. But again, they're the 5 things that I strongly hate / dislike or cannot stand of a C5 generation Corvette. As always, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Dadlife. And as you see, why is the channel called Dadlife? Because you know what? Because you got some kids and it's crazy. But if you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button. Please give me a couple thumbs up on the videos if you're enjoying the content. The next video, we're going to do 5 things that I actually love about the C5 Corvette. These are plenty of great things that you will enjoy and love about your C5 Corvette. So as always, thank you guys for tuning in. This has been Dadlife. If you're enjoying the videos, again, subscribe, hit that thumbs up button. Until next time, this is Dadlife.